Well, hello and a warm welcome yet again. Today we're going to go through a game which was played over the board, a Division 1 game. Uh, yeah, I was black and we played the English opening. Now, this is not an opening I'm very familiar with, but I wanted to play it just because why not? Why not try something new? And it's a fairly symmetrical structure. There are other ways, other move orders one can try over here. I was studying the opening later on. For example, an early d5 is one of the options, or even an e3 kind of approach. Uh, but yeah, anyway. So this game is going to be quite interesting because I don't know how to play the middle game part of this opening, as we're going to see. And as a result, as a consequence of that, I ended up with a pretty bad position, momentum wise. So here's the critical moment. And the right move for white here is supposed to be queen to d3. Now, I don't fully understand the opening, but I guess it must have something to do with the bishop pin here and wanting to hold on to this pawn still. So instead, he doesn't play that move. And here is where I make my first critical mistake of the game. I play knight to g4 with the idea of opening this up. Instead, it seems I should have played bishop here, attacking this pawn. And even though I'm leaving this one loose, the bishop can't really take it so easily because I would take back, and then he can take my rook, and I would take his rook, and it's actually not so bad for me. But anyway, it ends up like this, and I recircle the knight to this square, which I thought, I don't know if it's good. I rationalized that, even if he wanted to play f4 to kick my knight away, that would come at a bit of a cost for his king. But in retrospect, that's not really the case, especially after he's played h3, because it's very common to have ideas where you have king h2 and then f4 and e4 coming up. So yeah, strategically I've already made a lot of critical errors in the opening, and now I continue with another one because I don't know what to do, so I just move my queen here. For the whole game, I was basically not sure how to deal with this threat, and that's why I started making inaccurate moves. I'm not blundering anything, but still. It was only here when I finally realized that, oh shit, I can actually move it because he can't take it. I would take this pawn. But a bit too late to realize all of that. And now white has gained a lot of momentum because of this move where I can't capture back. Because if I do, he doesn't have to take back. He can put an intermediary check in the way. So he would win a pawn. So I humbly go back, and now the momentum is starting to really shift in white's favor. And black is well and truly on the ropes. In this situation, I needed to kind of reduce the tension a little bit, so that knight in particular was quite troubling. He took back with the queen instead of the pawn. Perhaps he was worried I would move my queen here and trade off the queens, which maybe would favor black a little bit, or maybe not. I don't know. It's a bit hard to say. Knight versus bishop with so many pawns on the board, I definitely would have a good playing chances. Anyway, so the game has continued as follows, and here I had a critical choice to make whether to trade queens or not. Ordinarily, when you have such a big space advantage and with my king under a bit of pressure, it would kind of make sense to dilute the tension a little bit. But in this situation, it just gives his play so much momentum. All these moves are coming up very strong and very powerful, and yeah, it's easy to play for white. I need to make it harder, and I need to hold on. It's the kind of situation sometimes when you're on the back foot, you want to counterattack, but sometimes you just want to hold together, hold the fort. So here's another example. I could have taken the queen back, but then the knight wouldn't have any good squares because this rook is covering this whole file, bishop is covering this file. So I'm just holding on to the queen, holding on to the queen, holding on to the pawn. A lot of different things going on here. Holding on to this pawn and making white prove his advantage. and just playing a few subtle moves to, loosen the chains that I have. Now he's trying to put a little bit of pressure on the king side. He's threatening this, which would bring the knight here and maybe put it offside. We're going to find out more about it. But I really just wanted to disturb the woodwork on the queen side because I think that's to my advantage in this kind of situation, to just clear up the issue over here and get a pawn that I can target. But yeah, now that he's brought his bishop here, this pawn comes with a bit of a new threat because I can go here, but then the bishop would capture back and I would get these doubled pawns here. But I analyzed the situation, I felt it wasn't so bad. Even if that were to happen, I've got bigger problems to worry about. So I moved my queen back with the idea of rook to c5 and then pawn up here to, muddy this up. But that actually doesn't work because if I were to do that, he could take, rook check, captures back, rook check, king up, and then the rook slides behind this pawn. So it wouldn't actually work to my favor. Now, having brought his king up as well, he's threatening to be able to take that doubled pawn more efficiently with his own king. So the dynamic has changed a little bit in my mind, and I feel I need to play a passive move, allowing the knight to go back here. And it was here where I decided enough is enough. Let's just go to this situation. It's not good for black. Not good for black at all, actually. But I believe I can hold on to it. And I think I probably was wrong, but he didn't play accurately. So he moved bishop there, which was the first significant error from him. He should have just moved his rook down here and started to dominate the 7th rank. Here was another error. He should have just moved his king here to hold on to the pawn and then continued on with his other plans. But now, after this rook trade, the game is actually quite even. Black is very passive, for sure, and white has control of the open file, but it's not going to be easy for him to make any inroads, especially to attack this pawn. So we have a bit of a move here, and I decide to attack the weak pawn, and he blocks it. Then I get my knight into the game, and he plays a waiting move. You see, he wants to come here and slide back, but he knows that my rook would come in the way to stop that plan immediately. So he's waiting for me to make a mistake first, I think. But now, in the process of waiting, I think he's made a mistake because he's put his bishop offside. It's controlling a diagonal, which looks kind of annoying. Yeah, my king can't slide here. But actually, there's a whole other region of the board at play. And that's what I open up for myself with this move here. Because I'm basically ensuring that my knight gets to be active somehow. So he moves his rook down, but I already come in the way, and now he makes the game-losing mistake. You shouldn't have captured like that, because when I capture back with this pawn, I've made an excellent square for the knight, which can attack a lot of pawns, and especially the central pawn, which is very critical for white's position. So that's what happens, and he's just falling into the trap a little bit here, because now I'm attacking the rook too, and sliding the king up. And here is a very tricky situation. You can't actually capture this because you're close to getting mated. The knight is covering these squares and the rook can slide in and mate you from here. So white's best try is probably bishop here, threatening to capture this pawn. However, I would have an intermediary move if he were to do that. Pawn check, and as mentioned before, he can't take this, so you would have to slide here, and then I could capture, and king up, and I should have a winning endgame. But instead he falls into the trap, and now I have sealed him off with my king, and it's here that he resides. So hope you all enjoyed the game. It was a great game, and talk to you later. Bye.